All right. So today we've got a client interview with my client Gavin, and I'm super pumped to dig into everything today. So welcome, Gavin. Thanks for jumping on, man.
Thanks, Mario. Excited to connect. Glad to do it.
Let's do this. So, like I mentioned, basically the goal for today is just to hear about your story in going through the coaching process. And my goal is that somebody who's listening to this or watching this may find some value in it and hopefully kind of take the next step in their journey. So, just to kind of kick things off, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what led to us connecting in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. So first, I'm a husband to a beautiful wife, a son, a brother, and a friend who loves to push themselves to grow. By For work, I'm a director of client relations for a company by the name of Big Four Talent in recruitment. And Mari and I first connected, I believe, in 2023 when we both figured out uh, that we were in Jesse Itzler's group or community.
Yep,
And I had realized I had known that Mario had his own coaching business. So I was curious to hear how things were going for him, as I had some interest myself in coaching. But we quickly realized or that we had very similar interests in pushing
definitely.
ourselves physically and spiritually and personally. So from there, reached out to Mario several months later.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that I've just enjoyed about like working with you is like just such similar values. And I think it's a lot of people that are listening to this are the same way. Like this curiosity and this drive to like reach your full potential. And also doing it in a way where faith is important to us, doing hard things. And so I've loved having that similar foundation. So for you, like take me back to the beginning. Like what was it that you were maybe struggling with or going through that made you want to start the coaching process?
Yeah. Um, I so first, I guess I'm just a huge advocate for coaching. Really, for like I think everyone should have a coach in some capacity. Someone that can keep you accountable and maybe even make you aware of blind spots.
Mm,
But for me, had some personal stuff going on, and certainly was in a season of overwhelm. And that resulted in just harboring some kind of unresolved emotions and um, I was lacking kind of direction and focus and really energy to carry out just the goals that I had set out for myself. And more than that, it's almost like I was allowing the circumstances around me that were kind of affecting how I showed up for myself and just for anyone and everyone around me.
mm.
So that was the reason why I reached out to you in the first
Yeah.
place.
Well, I think, yeah, in one word, it's like overwhelm. And I think like I've experienced that so much and I see that a lot with other clients that when you're in a state of overwhelm, a lot of times you're just not feeling like your best and then you're not taking the actions that you need to take and then that leads to you feeling even more overwhelmed, right? So,
Hmm.
what were some of the things that we implemented through the process that you felt like were super helpful in eliminating the overwhelm, working through it, and coming out on the other side?
Yeah. I mean, I think just identifying the season that you're in, like I think that for starters is something that is empowering.
Mm,
I think for me, or at least, I think some people can relate that anytime you're kind of in it or in a season of overwhelm so much, it's almost like you can't get out of your own way. And so there's power in naming, what season you're going through. And so we went through an exercise of, even just acknowledging it of what season you're in and,
yeah.
pinpointing what areas, how I was performing when I was out of this season. So predating this kind of season of overwhelm, what were the things that I was doing on a daily basis, on a monthly basis that worked for me when I was performing at my absolute best? And
Yeah.
so that was a powerful reminder. And it was almost like you kind of showed me a mirror of myself when I was, performing at a high level. So that one is a big thing that stuck out, especially early on.
Yeah.
And then from there, there were other kind of techniques that you walked me through. Next level identity, trusting the process over the outcome was one
Yeah.
thing that I was kind of fixated in just the outcome of, because in the season of Overwhelm, I was also kind of in the survival state.
Hmm.
And so the outcome was kind of at the forefront of my mind. But, so we went through some tools and techniques to just focus really on the process and just disassociate from the outcome.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of things there. Like, the first thing you mentioned, like going back to a time when you were operating at a high level and trying to figure out what were those things is like such an important way to get out of like a rut. Because a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times, like when I've been in that same season, you're kind of like, you don't even necessarily have the right words to describe what you're feeling. You're like, am
Yeah.
I like, am I depressed? Am I overwhelmed? Am I in a rut? Am I just like, I'm just struggling? And so that's where coming out of that a lot of times can be helpful to just go back to the time that was that when you were operating at a high level. Um, I'm also curious about this because a big thing for you was focusing on the process over outcome. Um, this is just a follow up to that. Like, what role did like your faith play in that? Because I know that you and I, um, Christ followers, we follow God, and that's a big part of um, helping us. So, how did your faith like play a role in that?
Yeah. Faith is something that I am certainly a work in progress, but I like to think that it's a daily conscious choice to
Hmm.
just trust in God.
Yeah.
And I know that He wants a prosperous and rich and loving life for me.
Yeah.
And when I was in that season, it's hard to remember that. So I
Yeah.
think when we were, so I feel like I was able to just get closer to God and stay consistent with spending
Mm.
time in prayer. And I think, you kind of were helpful in keeping me somewhat accountable, kind of like
Yeah.
um, a spiritual brother, if you will, of just, checking in on, reminders that, um, how I view my work is more about kind of making God proud of the work that I'm doing and kind of
Mm.
instilling and injecting Him in my work,
Yeah.
which is that was a huge kind of shift, for
Yeah.
me, and that was certainly something that you recommended, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, and as well as just keeping up with habits, of consistent, daily, reading scripture, reading the Bible, and um, just getting closer to God.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, it's been fun to just go through that journey together because I feel like I'm still learning a lot about God and growing in my faith. And yeah, I just think that it's been a cool aspect of like our relationship. So you mentioned some of the things that helped through the coaching process. Start to talk to me about like what are some of the results that you're the most proud of, and how has like coaching just transformed who you are?
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, I do feel like I'm able to get out of my own way quicker and faster.
Mm.
And I think some of the tools and techniques that we've worked through has allowed me to remove myself from the kind of the situation and the circumstance and look at it holistically.
Yeah.
Um, and it has definitely been able to help me perform at my like standard of what I expect and where I expect to perform. So I certainly think we've talked at length about kind of fear and specifically as it relates to work, negotiating with clients, about like pricing or kind of valuing your worth, um, which is one instance that kind of comes to mind of, not being afraid to lose a client, and not really needing any one specific client, and really kind of have that kind of abundance mindset,
Yeah.
has been a huge impact. And so I kind of, that's one thing that sticks out from a work perspective. And then, I think just I don't take things so personally,
Mhm.
just overall as a human.
That's huge.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so it's like you're able to detach a little bit more and just like stay grounded in like who you are and not let the circumstances around you like throw you off, right? Because I
Yeah.
think, like in your position in sales, like a lot of people, like when things aren't going their way, that's when they start to spiral, and that's
Hmm.
when you need to be able to get out of your own way or recognize when you're off and then like quickly adjust. And it seems like you've been able to do that, which is super cool. So how would you describe like how you've changed as a person through the process? Like, is there any sort of like you think about it like before versus now?
Yeah, I think I've given myself more grace through tough seasons, and I've allowed myself permission to remember how capable I am. And obviously, a lot of that has just been, and how much I've grown. Um, and so coaching has helped me kind of remind myself of, okay, this is how much of a beast I can be, and
Yes.
when I'm getting in my own way, this is what this looks like. And so it's just been very helpful with pinpointing what works well and what doesn't, and just continue down that path of keep doing the things that are helping you. So that's like been something that has just been a huge game changer for me. Um, so yeah,
We got to talk about the beast list. I'm so
yes,
glad you mentioned that because that's a term that you created. So eh, kind of like taking it back to the season of Overwhelm, a lot of times that creates a lack of confidence because you're letting your circumstances determine how you feel about yourself. So I remember we started to map out like the evidence that you have
right.
for why you are capable. So talk to me a little bit about that process and then how you came up with the beast list.
Yeah. So exactly, early on, it's kind of that you're kind of just in this state of overwhelm and survival, or at least for me, I was in that phase, and to your point earlier, you don't even have the language to kind of give yourself of what's going on right now. You just are exhausted, kind of low energy, self doubt, fear, low confidence as a result. But so we went through the exercise of, all right, let's remember the body of evidence of, what you've accomplished, up until this point in your life, right? In all different areas, business, physical challenges, doing tough things, could be family things that you've kind of helped. And so for me, we went through the list. We listed out, kind of a laundry list of things that I've done, and some of yeah, it's interesting when I think of wins. It's kind of, I'm predisposed to think of wins as just big wins, and so
Mm,
but we also went through some smaller wins, which was a good reminder. But so we were, going through the list, and I think at the end of it, was just said, "Damn, I'm a beast." And so there we go. And so there, it's like, um, all right, I'm just gonna call this the beast list.
yes. I love that because like it's in the state of overwhelm, you shift to all of the things that aren't going your way. How you're not, how you're not good enough, how like this isn't going to work out, like all these fears. But then if you just shift your mind to the past evidence that you are capable, like what are all the examples that you are a beast? I remember you read through that list, you're like, damn. I am a beast, and I love that. So the beast list, that was awesome. So, yeah, just kind of like last question as we're kind of wrapping up here. Any advice for somebody who is in that same place? They're maybe in that season of overwhelm. They were just like you in at the beginning. What would you say to them?
I'd say ask for help. Um, do the work and just keep showing up for yourself. I think without a coach to kind of give you a mirror to kind of, you know, allow you to see your blind spots, especially in those seasons of overwhelm where you can't even make heads or tails of like, or you can't give the language to what's really going on. I think it's a perfect opportunity to seek someone out to allow you or kind of remove yourself from the situation and just give you the tools and techniques to help you, kind of get out of the rut as well as just to thrive.
Dang, I love that. Because like the thing that I keep coming back to is like you're an athlete, I'm an athlete. It's like the best athletes have coaches. They have
Right.
multiple coaches. And so if I'm trying to reach my full potential, become my own like beast,
Yeah.
why don't I ask for help in that? And I think that's really good advice. So dude, it's been awesome working together and just seeing you level up, becoming a beast, and crushing it in sales. And so, just want to say thank you for letting me be a part of your journey. I do feel like we're a team, and feels like we've got a friend for life out of this, and just super grateful for that. And so, just want to say thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Thank you. Yeah. It's been an awesome journey. Just, you know, through this process. And I think one thing that because I've worked with other coaches, and I've been on this personal development path
Mm,
of just trying to squeeze every ounce of life or kind of maximize and reach the potential. But I think one thing that I will say is you really care about the person first. You always check in first before kind of our official call.
mm.
Uh, and so, yeah, I appreciate that.
Dude, thank you for saying that. Making me,
Yeah,
I'm gonna tear up on this. What the heck? No, but
let's
I
go.
do. I care about you, dude. And love is a core value. So anybody who's on my team, I'm gonna lead with love. So appreciate that. And so anybody who is listening to this and you're intrigued, maybe you're in a season of overwhelm, maybe you're curious about what your potential looks like, go ahead and send me a DM on Instagram. Let's start a conversation or just go ahead and book a call below and we'll talk soon. So, Gavin, thanks for your time and thanks for sharing today.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Awesome.